I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Sigur Ro. I'm butchering this title for sure. Did Blastoid get you his picture? Has anybody gotten you any pictures yet?
I haven't looked at it yet.
All right.
Your rolling eyes. Oh my word.
The link includes a short
me.
intro. The band is well known. Okay, so I don't know where this band is from, but we had to hit Google Translate. Dear patrons, if you've got a song you'd like us to review, please, for the love of God, if it's a not an English band, please get us the lyrics, because I want to be able to really dig into the song, and I want to do the thingamajig some justice. Okay. So, for timely topical political commentary, if you would like to further tread down the aisles of despair, you can go to Middle America with Vin and Sori. There's one of these Nazi guys in our comment section that's really upset at you for race mixing, committing the sin of miscegenation. So he's really angry, and he threatened you, and yeah.
Why did you click on the video if you have such an issue with it?
Well, I think it's one of those things where he's like drawn to it, but I think he likes me. I think the guy likes me, but he can't like me on principle. So he's channeling all his hate toward you. But shout out to the big homie.
We have a mixed baby and another one on the way.
Yes, sir. Don't be so mad at him.
I'm just in a bad mood right now. So
I've been in a bad mood for the last couple.
Yes, I know it's getting to me.
Last couple, whatever. So, I needed the encouragement from the big homie. It's always funny to me when people tough talk on the internet. It's like, okay, guy. Just sit down and have a Kool-Aid and watch the video. You know you're going to watch the video. By the way, congratulations to us. We just crossed the 150,000 freaking subscriber mark. Thank you very freaking much, you ridiculous people. I cannot believe.
You announced it in a video. I'm in a grouchy mood for Wonderful.
I cannot believe.
I am happy about it.
I cannot believe that 150,000 people said, you know what? I think I'd like to hear from those two again. That means the world to me. It's a very hard time to be me in America, but you got 150,000 people at your back. Come on, you can't be down all the time. So there's that. Also, shout out to all the patrons. Remember, it's billing time, and if you need to cancel your subscription, this is the time to do it. A lot of people sign on for 1 month, and then
you can jump off at any time. You don't have to do it right now.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to do this for 1 month, and they're going to drop off, and then life blows up on them, and they forget, and then 4 months down the line, they get all these charges. So every month I try to make sure that people aren't in that situation. Mm-hmm. So there you go. If you are in that situation, reach out to us. We'll take care of you. Yeah, and the way to get your song reviewed on Patreon, $1 at the gate gets you in. You get hooked up with the alliances. We got a really cool video coming out as to what you can do, website stuff, all that jazz.
There's more there than we even knew.
A lot of cool stuff on the way, y'all. We are just starting. 150K is great, but we're just starting. We're not even halfway there. We're not anywhere close to being done, so here we go. All right. And if you want a song directly done, it's $125. Get you shipped right to the head of the line, which is what
our buddy Blastoid did.
Is what Blastoid did. If you do that 3 times, then you get booted down to the $75 rate perpetually, forever and ever. Amen.
He said it's Icelandic and very abstract, so he's curious to see what we're going to take away from it. He said this request is risky and a little out of the norm for our channel, but he really hopes that we enjoy it and think it's something special.
Okay, let's do it.
Thanks for all you do, he said. Ready?
I got the English lyrics right here. Hold on.
Can you make it brighter?
Bigger or
brightness.
Brighter?
It's dark. It's already up. Thank you. Well, turn it down so you don't get a headache.
This is the instrumental. I want to hear it too.
It's glorious.
almost certain I know who that singer is.
Is it the same one that was at the end of Gladiator?
No. This is the guy, it's Yonsei. You know
guy.
the Destroyer? That's a dude singing.
No.
I swear, I guarantee you it's Yonsei. You know the Destroy Everything song? The one that I love?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's him. Because it's got to be him. And then he talked about pajamas. This guy has a very childlike...
Did you hear that sound at the end?
Yeah. He's got a very, very childlike way about him. But I'm pretty certain that Yonsei he was in a band before he struck out by himself, and I'm pretty sure this was the band. So I'm pretty sure it's
Look
him.
it up.
What is it? Sigur Ross? Is it? Ross, whatever. Boom. Members, Yonsei.
What?
I called it. I knew it. I knew it was him. He just has this very childlike way about him, and he sings at a very high.
I cannot believe that's a guy.
Yeah,
That's unbelievable.
He sings at a very high clip.
Yeah.
It's very, very dreamy though.
Didn't it sound like at the end of Gladiator? Remember when he's being carried off?
Oh yeah. It might have been inspired, but I knew that was him. And like lyrically, I've only heard like 2 or 3 of his songs, but like I said, he's got a very childlike, very spiritual type of music.
The sound was very...
I never ever thought that we'd be able to review any of his stuff because it's not metal, so, but I love this guy. I really, really love this guy. If anybody would like to review a Yonsei song, there's what's it called? The Tornado. I think it's called.
That's
Tornado.
funny. I was thinking about that one too when this was going on.
Yeah, because he has that. That's the name of the song. I love that song. Oh my gosh, it's one of the best songs in the world. But I don't think we're ever going to be able to review it. But I'd love to talk about it. But anyway, just putting that out there.
I like the intro. The intro to me was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said,
This to me would be so fun to do interpretive dance with.
Yeah, he's a very what?
Well, lyrically, I was a little bit confused, but
he's a real spiritual dude as far as like where his music takes you.
Yeah.
Glowing sun, bright sun, now that you're awake, everything. If I didn't know it was Yonsei, though, I would have assumed that it was a girl singing Fush all. Glowing sun, bright sun, now that you're awake, everything seems different. I look around, but there's nothing at all. I put on my shoes. I then find that she's still in her pajamas. The minute I saw the pajamas thing, I'm like, that sounds like Yonsei. He was talking about icicle sleeves and wiping your nose or something like that in another one of his songs. Just very childlike stuff. Anyway, put on my shoes. I then find that she's still in her pajamas and found in a dream I'm hung by an anticlimax. She's with the sun and it's out here. But where are you? Go on a journey and roam the streets. Can't see the way out and so use the stars. She sits for eternity and then climbs out. She's the glowing sun. So come out. I awake from a nightmare. My heart is beating out of control. I've become so used to this craziness that it's now compulsory. And here you are, I'm feeling, and here you are, glowing sun, and then here you are. So, she is the sun to him, but she's gone, apparently.
Oh.
So, glowing sun, bright sun, now that you're awake, everything seems different,
Who's awake?
Pause.
Okay, we're back. It's midnight, so I thought maybe there was something wrong because my mom was calling, but she had something else to discuss with me. She's like, I just knew you'd be up. No emergency. Okay, so go ahead. So
glowing, now that you're awake, everything seemed different.
I thought this had to do with a child because at the end you hear the... It sounds like the mobile.
It could be a child. It could be a child, but I think it's actually probably a relationship song because, like I said,
and I didn't realize it. There must be something wrong with me.
There's something very childlike about this guy, which is why I love the 3 or 4 songs that I hear from him because it's very childlike. And so glowing sun, bright sun. Now that you're awake, everything seems different. I look around, but there's nothing at all. So that's really interesting because, you know, Lewis has that quote like, you know, I believe in Christianity, like people believe the sun or something like that. It's not that the sun is light, but that everything becomes visible because of it. I'm completely butchering the quote, but he's saying that the sun illuminates everything. I've got to find the Lewis quote now because all the. Go ahead. Tell us your interpretation of the song, or what was going on with you.
No, I was just enjoying the sound of it. I was just, you know, it's been a rough couple days, you know, with the news and everything else that's been going on around here. So I just haven't really been able to relax for like a couple days, and so I just in the song was just kind of like letting myself relax a little bit. So it felt nice.
Okay, so here's, I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. Okay, so that's the actual quote. And then, so when you go here, he says, now that you're awake, everything seems different. So if you were in complete darkness your entire life, you know, it's like Plato in the cave and all that. If you were in the darkness your entire life, and then the sun rose, obviously everything would be different. Mm-hmm. But there would also be a sense in which everything was the same. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, whatever. So this girl is the sun, and now that you're awake, that would be like the sunrise. So everything seems different because she came into his life and illuminated his life. But then he looks around and there's nothing at all because she's gone, I'm assuming. So his life was complete darkness. You know, as Minister Farrakhan would say, triple darkness. And then she comes into his life, illuminates everything, so now nothing looks the same. Everything is different, but then there's nothing at all. I look around and there's nothing at all because she's illuminated his world, but now she's gone. That's what I'm assuming. So then he puts on his shoes, but he finds that she's still in her pajamas. But he found her in a dream. I think we're losing some things in translation here, but I think what's happening is like, he dreamed of her and he's hung by an anticlimax because you know how like you're having a really awesome dream and you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love this world that I'm in. And then that horrifying moment hits you where you realize that this is a dream. And that's usually for me, you hang out in that stuff. You're a lucid dreamer. You hang out and you kind of live in that world. Me, anytime I realize that I'm in a dream, I'm about 75% awake. And I'm just like trying to keep my eyes closed to kind of hang on to it, but it's done. But you know you're in a dream and you hang out in that shit for an hour, you know, the whole night, rest of the night.
I don't always know that I'm in a dream.
Yeah, but you know more often than not. It's a pretty ridiculous superpower.
I take advantage of it.
Yeah, so I think in real life she's gone, but in his dreams, this is kind of like in Inception. In his dream, she's still there in her pajamas, but then he gets struck by an anticlimax because the anticlimax would be he wakes up and she's gone because the very next line says she's with the sun and it's out here. So now I'm assuming she was his son, but then she's with the sun and it's out here, and I think that means she probably found somebody else, and the effect that he had on her life, this new guy has on her life. Yeah. So now she's out with the sun.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody else that's illuminated her world, and you know. So now he says, "But where are you?" And then he goes on a journey, roams the streets. He can't see the way out. So now he has to use his stars, he has to use the stars for guidance, which is a lesser light than the sun. But the sun is a star. But the sun, you know. But now because he doesn't have the sun for guidance, he's got to use lesser lights for guidance. And so maybe because he's young, seen he's a rock star, he's got a bunch of women he can call up to help him show the way. She sits for eternity, then climbs out. She is the glowing sun, so come out. I awake from a nightmare. My heart is beating out of control. I think the nightmare there is the fact that she's no longer with him, and he's like, come back.
Yeah.
And now he's awakened from a nightmare. So before it was a dream and it's an anticlimax because he had to wake up from the dream.
Yeah.
And now his real life is a nightmare because this girl is no longer with him. I become so used to craziness that it's now compulsory, and here you are, I'm feeling, here you are, glowing sun. So what I get from that is she kind of brought some order into his chaotic life, which artistic people are usually very chaotic people. Mm-hmm. And she brought some order to his life, and they can still kind of see each other, but she's no longer going to be his exclusive whatever. And I think the end is just him basically appreciating her for being that, even if they're not in a relationship together. And that was my best shot at exegeting those lyrics. It's the best that I could come. That's the best I could come.
Well, that's pretty damn good, because I was a bit confused. I've become so used to this craziness that it's now compulsory.
Yeah.
What's compulsory?
It just means that you have no choice. You're compelled to do it. You know, like.
And here you are.
But she's still there, kind of.
Well, I don't know if she's actually really there.
Guidance. Well, I think she's there in the sense of that she hasn't completely cut him out of her life. It's just she's no longer going to be his exclusive, person. But he can still appreciate that he can still kind of glean some sort of relationship with her. I think he's settling for some sort of friendship or whatever, and I think that's what the end is.
To me, from everything else that you gave, and then this ending here, it sounds like that he's gotten so used to the craziness of her being in there in his dreams, but not actually being there, that it's now compulsory. He just goes along with it. He can't help it. It's just
so he's gonna dream and fantasize.
And here you are, glowing sun. Here you are. Here you are. But she's not really there.
Right. He's just
super sad.
He hasn't moved on.
Right.
I mean, in my version, he hasn't moved on, but he's settling for, it's kind of like, I'm not going to name the show because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a show and there's basically a love triangle, and the first, so there's two guys and a girl, and for the first 2 or 3 seasons, you're like, oh, these two are definitely going to get together. They belong together, da-da-da-da. And then the other guy's kind of like a screw-up, kind of like a, whatever.
Do you know what you're talking about?
I don't know. Oh. But toward the end of the thing, and the whole thing in the series finale was who's she going to pick, and yada, yada, yada. And then kind of fast forwards, and they all wanted to leave their little town. They all left their little town, but then they came back to their little town, and then, it goes 10 years later, and then you see that she chose the bad boy. She didn't choose the good guy.
Surprise.
But then the good guy, but they were good with it. Like, the good guy was, like, good with it. He was at peace with her decision, and he basically said, it's always been me and you, but he meant it as a friend, not as, like, whatever. And she, she said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And it was a sad moment for me watching that.
Why?
I just think that I always assumed that those two would have been together, would have stayed together. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yeah, they weren't really, they weren't really like that. They weren't really romantic. Like the one she actually ended up with had like that fire of the romance thing. The other one was more like friendly type of thing, and I don't know. Just
I wonder why that made you sad, because usually you relate to characters and that's why it makes you sad, but I mean, you can't even relate to that.
Well,
you can?
I could relate to that considering, but I'm not going to talk about that on camera. But yeah, it was it's an interesting show. So I was reading that moment in the show into that. So I was like, they came to but at the same time I was like, that's mega healthy to be able to do that, and it, at least in the universe of the show, it worked. The other guy wasn't jealous because those two guys were friends. The other guy wasn't jealous. The other guy understood that they had this special friendship, but she chose him, and yada yada yada. And it wasn't any like, throughout all the seasons, they had went through all the angles of how she could have related to one or the other. You know what I mean? And it was clear that she landed with this guy, and that was her decision. And it was obvious, that was as far as being in a relationship, those two absolutely belong together. But, and then, I don't know. So they were cool with it. They were friends. Everybody was happy and all that. And I was just like, damn. And it was also sad because it was the end of the show. And I had followed the show from the first episode to the last episode.
How many seasons did they do? Is it a lot?
6, 7.
Yes.
So that was that. So yeah, I was thinking about that as I was watching this song too, and it's funny too because the guy had like a very childlike. He was also
Can
really.
you take that hair off the screen? It's making me feel sick.
The guy was a really childlike individual himself. You know, the main guy. The show was named after him, and then he doesn't end
Frasier.
up with the girl. No, it wasn't. Frasier.
That's the only show I know where it's somebody's name.
Frasier's a good show though. We should watch that show because Frasier like legitimately gave me a lot of belly laughs. It's a funny show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Must be nice.
His brother is such a horrible person. I like shows that have
horrible people.
I love shows that have.
I think that's why we
horrible
like
people.
Schitt's Creek so much.
Yes. Anyway, what do you give the song?
Ooh. It was a 10 for me.
Wow.
I really, really enjoyed it.
It's a 9.9 for me. 9.8. I've said all I'm going to say about this song. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.